Good evening.
Okay, we're live.
We're on?
Yep, we're live.
All right. Good evening. I'm Dr. Michael Smith, and this is something a little bit new for us. We really wanted to try something basic. We get a lot of comments on different social media platforms. People, I don't have any equipment. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. I want to learn. So we want to help with that. And this first section is going to be about as far from gear and gadgets as you're going to get. And there's a reason for that. Because before all the gear and the gadgets, for all of us that started doing this came a whole lot of book work. And we're not going to ask you to read a whole bunch of books. I'm not going to give you homework. We're just going to go over some stuff. And a lot of it involves basically belief. The people that investigate the paranormal have a belief in the life after death of the physical body. Some believe it, and some are skeptical, are out to debunk it, and they still research it coming from the other side of the coin. That being said, when you get down to the meat of it, in the paranormal, you're talking about a ghost or a spirit. You're talking about an afterlife, which is the life of the consciousness after the death of the physical body. You're going to hear a loud beep. Excuse the sound. I have an errant smoke detector that likes to do weird things at different times. Sorry about that. It's us. It's a live broadcast. What can I say? Stuff happens.
Yeah, if anyone's ever watched this before, you already know. Which I guess for the people on Twitch, since this is our first broadcast on Twitch, I will say hello, and you have no idea what you just turned on.
Yeah, I know. You're down the rabbit hole with us now. The belief in the afterlife. Now, that comes into a lot of different things. There's religion. Excuse me. Spirituality, the metaphysical, the paranormal. All these things rely on some element of belief. We're not here to discuss religion as our main topic. We promote no religious belief one over the other. They're all valid as far as we're concerned in this discussion. But the main thing that binds them all together is belief. In 2010, the studies were done in 2010, the census sort of. There were 2.2 billion Christians in the world. There were 1.8 billion people of the Islamic faith. There were 14,310,000 of the Jewish faith. Note, they keep a very accurate record of their people. That's part of their mandate and their religion. They know their own. There were 1 billion plus Hindus and some 440 million Buddhists. All these religions and countless more all believe, the core of their belief system is faith, is belief. Belief is the strongest motivation and it elicits the strongest emotion. If you don't believe that, look back through history. Wars have been fought, are still being fought. Houses have been divided and brought together, all because of belief. So when we look at the paranormal and the people that study it, or the people that want to get into it and want to research it, the core of that is a belief in the afterlife, the life of something after the death of the physical body. Whether that be a portion of the consciousness somehow carried on and retained in a different form, some form of life essence and energy that is carried on in some other way after the death of the physical body. Science has taken great pains to define life. What constitutes life? To constitute life, you must have the ability to reproduce, the ability of finiteness, which means you're born, you live a period, and you die. That's some of the criteria for life. As far as science is concerned, at the moment of death, there is nothing. After that, that's it as far as they're concerned. At the moment of clinical and biological death, then this being is done. The consciousness that was there, the life spark, is gone. In the world of the paranormal, because of the things that are seen and heard, the things that are reported to happen, it makes one question whether or not something else happens after the death of the physical body. Science can perhaps debunk, out of 10 cases of paranormal claims, they might be able to debunk 9 of them. Or out of the totality of all the number of them, they might be able to debunk 99% of them. But they can't debunk them all. That's where the rub comes in. Is science can't debunk it and prove it false completely. But also, on our part, we can't prove it either. So you're kind of stuck a little bit because it's classified as pseudoscience, which is using a scientific, trying to use a scientific method to prove something that isn't scientifically provable. The scientific theory is an explanation of an aspect of the natural world and universe that can be repeatedly tested and verified in accordance with the scientific method using accepted protocols of observation, measurement, and evaluation of results. That is the definition of the scientific method. The scientific method cannot be, and I'm probably going to get flack for this, but the scientific method cannot be applied in the strictest sense to paranormal research and investigation. I know that it cannot be because I have tried for the last 20 years to do that. Things happen. I've seen things. I've heard things. We've got recordings of things. But they're not repeatable. They're not testable. There's no scale. There is no scale by which paranormal events can be measured. When you have an earthquake, you have a Richter scale. It tells you how powerful the earthquake was. When you eat something spicy, there's actually a scale in Scoville units that will tell you how hot the pepper you just had, how to compare the heat of a ghost pepper to the heat of jalapeno pepper. Which one's hotter than the other, and by how much? And that scale.
Anyone who's ever eaten one, there is no comparison.
Yeah, one's like eating volcano lava, and the other was like eating an ice cube compared to that. But that's a repeatable.
Yeah,
that's a repeatable. It's a repeatable scale. All these things have scales.
And whatever you do.
Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, whatever you do, always use gloves if you're working with any peppers.
Oh yeah,
I found that out the hard way.
You have to go to the bathroom afterward. You're in trouble.
Yeah, I found that out the hard way.
Yeah, but there's no scale for this. You'll have a paranormal event, whether something touched you, or pulled your shirt, or you saw something, or there's a light anomaly, or there's something on a video, or something in a photograph that you can't explain. These things happen, but what do you compare them to? And you'll swear, but I saw this. And if nobody else saw it, let me not believe you. You believe it because it happened to you. If it happens to more than one person at a time, that's quite good validation because it means whatever it was, you all saw it. That doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen. The main thing is to remember is that in years past, way back, before science got really kind of full of itself, there were the alchemists. The alchemists were sure that they could turn lead into gold. I mean, I got a whole bag of fishing sinkers over here. If I could turn a pound of fishing sinkers into a pound of gold at $2,000 an ounce, I'd do it. If I had a way I could do it, I'd be all up in it. And a lot of people died trying because they used all these weird tests, and they'd use chemicals like mercury and arsenic and all these things, and they poisoned themselves. They died horribly over long exposure to heavy metals and all these poisons and these chemicals they tried to use to turn lead into gold. But they had to believe. They believed it.
Sorry, folks.
When you look back at science and religion, there were many times in the past when science came to direct confrontation with religion, and the men who proposed the scientific ideas were branded as heretics, and some were killed, and others were exiled for voicing their opinions. At one time, it was thought that the Earth was the center of the universe.
And if you said different, you were executed.
Yeah, you believe the way we believe. But as time went on, scientific methods got better. There were proof things, and there were advancements in technology, and things happened, and we are where we are. But look at that. Still, there's a great divide between the world of the metaphysical, the paranormal, and the parapsychological world. With people who work like I do. We work with mediums, and other things, and do things like work with EVP and work with poltergeist with SPA. These things have done that are all involved in this study, and it's quite a large. It's a very large field, but when you get down to the main part of it, is belief. We believe there's something, or we're trying to prove that there is something after death of the physical body. Religious belief notwithstanding, because there are many scientists who, because of their academic standing, don't admit that they go to church on Sunday morning, because they'll be left open to ridicule by their peers. Well, how can you believe that? That there's some force that you can't see that made everything, and has this kind of an omnipotence. They have a hard time within themselves dividing that thing apart. And it's the same thing with the paranormal. Trying to find the scientists that will talk to you and admit that there may be something other than what the natural laws, the laws of physics, apply to, is almost impossible. Because for some of the things that happen in the paranormal to happen, the laws of physics cannot apply. So you have to ask yourself, well, if the natural laws don't apply, then what happens? How does it work? The easy answer is I don't know. Nobody
Fancy you're never going to get.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're all looking for. We're all out here researching, trying to find out. How does it actually work? We don't know. And we live now in an age of social media and television and streaming services and television shows and internet shows and all kind of stuff. And that's good in a way, because it gives you a chance to see what all the hype is about. But by the same token, and I'm not singling anybody out in particular here, but a show about paranormal investigation on TV is kind of like watching professional wrestling on TV. It's for entertainment, and it's very entertaining. But paranormal investigation and ghost shows on TV are very, very far apart as to what actually happens on an investigation. Some of the tools are the same, to be honest, certainly. But a lot of stuff, when you go on an investigation and you got all this stuff, nothing happens. I don't know how many I've been on with, what'd you get? Anything. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
Or you might get something, but you don't get a lot. But for the process of this discussion, You don't need gear. Gear is not the first thing you need. The first thing you need to do if you want to get into this field is set up for your own self at least this question: what am I after? What do I want to accomplish? Do I want to prove to myself that there's an afterlife? Do I want to help people that are suffering from cases of hauntings or paranormal activity and they need help? Am I doing it to help these people? Do I want to get a TV show and make money? If you do, you're probably not going to get very far.
Yeah, you're in the wrong game here.
You're in the wrong game for that.
Trust me, my friends list on Facebook is full, and I do mean full, of people that at one time was doing this to try to get a TV show or get famous on YouTube. And I mean, most of them still do it, but they have all gone into other walks of life, and some of them have flat out walked away, period. Just because, I mean, look at Michael and I. Of course, everyone's saying you should write a book, you should do this, you should do that, you should do the other. We have fun just sitting here doing this. And we do our research.
We have
yet to make any damn cent. I guarantee you what money we have made at it, we have spent far more in, the very thing we're talking to you on right now. When we were doing the podcast, I was spending $20+ a month for that. And I got a royalty check every 3 months. The last one was for $12.83. So, I mean, that just tells you right there. You spend $60 to make $12. It didn't even pay for itself. I mean, right now I pay money for this app that we're using, the StreamYard. I pay for that, and I pay for money for the website. I haven't even got the website completed. And that's what I'm saying. It's just, if you're looking at it as a way to make quick money, it's neither quick or money involved in this, unless you're spending it. It's a quick way to lose money, but not make money.
But as far as the reason you get into it, and the thing, there are things that can be accomplished. Because as far as paranormal events, things to happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing this.
Oh yeah.
People have reports of stuff happening. Now, some of the people report this stuff, and obviously it's a fake, it's a hoax, nothing happened. That happens a lot. But some people actually have reports in the homes. Things happen. They're scared. They don't know what's going on. You go in, sure enough, stuff's happening. But damned if we understand how exactly, but it's happening. We're documenting it, but we have no clue. People will say, well, we have EVP. And EVP are voices from the dead. Okay, prove that to me. Can't. How does it work? Don't know. How can we hear it? How did you get on the recorder? Don't know.
So we've talked about that before with the fact that with like EVP, they say, well, it's a voice from a dead person. Well, first off, the very definition of the voice is air moving over vocal cords coming out of a mouth. They have neither lungs to move air or pull air in, vocal cords, or a mouth. How did it make the noise?
And in the case of an intelligent haunting, you have to have an intelligence. You have to have a discarded intelligence running around out somewhere that can form words and thoughts. We're not negative here. We're not trying to debunk anything. We're not being paranormally negative. In the sense, we're not trying to shoot anybody's belief system down. It's a statement of fact. Anybody that tells you that they know how any of it works is telling you a lie. But what you need to do, and what we do, we research it for ourselves. Learn to do research. Get the books in the library. Go through property records. Go through birth and death records. Go through census records. Go through whatever you can find on a person or a building that you're talking about, and do your research. And then it's okay with someone who, I've got this and that going on, but don't go running in there. You can't let your beliefs in something cloud your judgment. You have to look at it as objectively as possible. Just because they're scared of something and they think their house is haunted, there might be a water pipe banging against the wall at 3 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? Don't know yet. Haven't investigated it yet. Don't know.
You spoke of something that makes me think of something. Because, and you also probably noticed the thing missing behind my head off my wall. Because this, what I'm holding in my hand right now, is probably one of the most misunderstood, I guess you would say, items in history. This is something that causes fear. I actually had to convince a friend of mine to come back in after I had bought this because he was terrified of it. This is the tool of the devil. It represents nothing but evil. And if you own one, it will destroy your life. And this is what has been told to people for decades. The Ouija board. Even how this thing was named has been moved around and changed to where there is such a hardcore built-in belief that people have, like I said, a fear of this little piece of wood that I got because I thought this design was freaking awesome. And you got your little kitty cat over here, and you got another little kitty cat over here. But that's what I liked about it. It's just a cool kind of 80s pin-up motif. I kind of got a thing for that. I can break out my tarot cards too, which are another great example of tools of the devil.
That's actually a card game. That's actually a card game that's played in France, kind of like Spain.
And in Montreal, Canada.
Yeah. But there again, we go back to belief. Belief is such a strong, strong emotion. There are people that believe that anything that is not of God in a religious sense is of the devil. That's exactly their belief system. That's it. Now, I'm not here to argue that. I'm not going to tell them that they're wrong. That is their belief system, and they're entitled to that, just like I'm entitled to mine, and you're entitled to yours, and whatever the case may be. But when you get belief systems involved in things like that, that's why you get, I'll never have a Ouija board in the house. I'll never have tarot cards in the house. Or if a black cat crosses in front of me, it's bad luck. Or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever your belief system is, if it's your belief system, it's valid. But the belief in the afterlife and the need to find proof of that belief to validate it. Because most people don't have a belief in a religion and then go out and have to prove it beyond their belief. You have belief, you believe, and so that's good enough. You have belief, you have faith in it, that's it. You don't go all over the world trying to have scientific proof in what you believe. You believe it, and so that's it. But with the paranormal, it's different. The paranormal is all the gadgets and all the tools and all the meters and all the flashy lights and the sounds trying to scientifically prove the existence of an energy of some form that manifests itself after the death of the physical body. And if such energy does exist, then it surely must be able to be categorized, to measured in some form. One would think that that you would be able to measure this energy. It's energy. If it doesn't die and doesn't dissipate, it only changes form, then you should be able to measure that form of energy somehow. But we haven't figured out how to do it yet. Because
No.
you get readings on whatever media you're carrying. Oh, it's paranormal, but it doesn't always happen that way. So you can't say that a reading on a meter maybe jumps and says 3.0. Oh, it's a ghost, but it doesn't do it all the time.
No, and that's another thing that we since this I guess you would say is the first class. That's another thing that we've kind of stressed. Like I was talking about the Ouija board behind me. The history of the Ouija board is out there if you just look for it, and you get past the stuff that was created in Hollywood and through religious beliefs and those things. The talking board, the witch board, this thing has existed in some form or another for thousands of years. Tell you what, if you ever want to really learn about it, just read the instructions to it. That'll tell you everything you need to know. But as you were speaking about the meter, okay, you have a spike. Oh, it's paranormal. Well, there is a lot of misconception, and that's mainly what this. Excuse me. I've had a cough since I got the COVID vaccine, so I'm a little, not sick, just a little bit of a naggy cough, which is a pain when you get paid to talk. Not through this, through my actual job. I work over phones. But we want to kind of take things and, for lack of a better term, change what has been the accepted method or knowledge, or at least express an alternate view to that knowledge. One of the biggest misconceptions we've ever come across is everyone going, oh, we're going lights out. Well, there's no electricity now, so anything we get would be paranormal. No. Electricity does not go away at a light switch. It goes away at a junction box, and that you can't turn off. You would have to have the city come and turn it off.
As long as you got current flowing through wire, you have
an EMF field. So that's one of the big things that then that has been started with the original with ghost hunters and all that. And still to this day, people do it. And they got so tired of the question, well, why do you all do it at night and turn out all the lights? Oh, well, it's because solar energy. No. Because as you said, you have people that experience things. I have experienced them. It was daylight when I experienced one of them, and it was a full-bodied girl, and apparently something that people see frequently.
Yeah, the reason they do it at night is because it looks cool on the camera.
Yeah, you go in there in night vision. And if you live in a city, you have less traffic and less risk of background contamination. Unless you live near bars where you get plenty of background contamination at about 3 in the morning.
So there's all these things. There's a lot to it. This was just sort of a little bit of an introduction into belief and a scientific theory. And at this point, the scientific theory isn't usable for us because this stuff isn't repeatable. It doesn't repeat. It doesn't happen on cue. And there's no way to measure what the energy is that we're looking at. Something happens, yes. something does happen. I've had paranormal encounters. You have too.
Multiple
ones, but I don't know at that particular moment. I can't measure enough parameters from enough different things to tell you what's happening.
And then there is always, I think it has another name. I can't remember it. Brain damage. That's all I can say. I have no memory really. But there is a theory that I basically what I break down and I call it the rainbow effect. Like when you look at a rainbow, if you move a foot to the left, it looks different. If you move to a foot to the right, it looks different. That foot to the right, it may not even be there. But that foot to the left may be the brightest, clearest, most perfect rainbow you've ever seen. Because you are in the exact right spot at the exact right time with the exact right light and the exact right amount of moisture to see the perfect rainbow. If you go to that spot to the right, you're not in that spot anymore. So you don't see the rainbow. You start in the middle, well, you see it, but it's not quite as good as when you go to the left. And this is kind of, it's on topic, but a little off. One of the reasons it can possibly can never be repeatable is, can you be in that spot twice? Can you be in that spot with that perfect angle of light, that perfect amount of moisture to see the same thing twice?
Well, actually, if you put it that way, if you think about the dimensions that we live in, there are the dimensions of space, and the dimensions of time. You have a dimension of space, you have height, length, width, actual physical coordinates, right? You know what I mean? Like if you're make an X on the ground and stand there, then that's those coordinates. Your height, width, length, right? You're there. But then there's a dimension of time. If you saw something while you're standing there at a particular time, but when that time passes, that time can't come again because time is linear and moving. So it's possible that even someone standing right behind you wouldn't see it, because they might be with you at the exact moment in time, but they're not at the coordinates where you're at.
They're not in that moment in space.
They're not in that moment in space. They might be half a foot behind you or left, but they can't see it. So it's not a repeatable. It's not a repeatable thing. Now, there are some things in the kernel that are known to repeat. Like you get people that report seeing, in the case of residual haunting, that every day at 3:00 in the afternoon they see this figure of a man walk up the steps and go into the bathroom. And this happens every day at 3:00. That's something for a different episode to talk about.
I was about to say, that could be our episode for the next time we do this. I don't know exactly what we'll call it. Maybe the haunting family, residual, intelligent, and hooked on phonics. Stuck on
why not?
But we have gotten those before.
Yeah, just that. But we wanted to give you this, our little first installment of it, and we hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to sign it off this time. I don't want to do that.
Nope.
So for the Paranormal Night Stalker, I'm Dr. Michael Smith, and with me as always is Joel Wally. That sounded damn strange.
I know it
Almost
always
called
feels
you,
weird.
almost called you a doctor. And with me, as always, is Dr. Joe
Hardly.
Wallach.
Hardly.
So we're going
No,
to call
see,
it a night.
you're the doctor. You're the one that's got. You're the one with the smart stuff. I just know how to do the techie stuff.
It's a good thing because I don't.
So that's why we make a good team. I'm the asshole that knows nothing except for techie stuff, and you're the person that knows all the other stuff.
That works for me. So if we got any shameless plugs,
Well,
you
actually,
can.
this is going to be a shame because I just remembered something about Twitch that I had forgotten. This episode will not be on Twitch. So if you're watching it, if you missed any of it and you want to go back, you can see it on I Want to Believe YouTube, which is a tiny URL, Believe YouTube, or on the Facebook at Night Stalker Pod. I will also share this to the Twitter page, which is Twitter at Night Stalker Pod. We got real creative with this. And of course, at some point, all of the content you were seeing on here will be available at www.nightstalkerpod.com. And that's all the plugs I got. Unless you want to see me be an asshole to a bunch of wrestling fans, where I compared the Young Bucks to and Ric Flair to Ric Flair being an apple and the Young Bucks being the dog shit. You can see what trouble I'm in on Twitter too, at TGWP11.
So given that, we're going to sign off until our next installment, and have a good night. Anybody watch?
Actually,